Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and today we are doing more ideas and opinions of Albert Einstein. We will be reading one, two, three short pieces. Excuse me. Which will end his section of learning or about learning. And we'll be getting into a new section. But let's go ahead and jump into this. The first piece is titled On Classic Literature, and it is written for Young Kaufman, a monthly publication of the Schweizerischer Kaufmännischer Verein Jugendbund. I'm butchering that. I know I am. I apologize. February the 29th, 1952. Somebody who reads only newspapers and at best looks at contemporary authors looks to me like an extremely nearsighted person who scorns eyeglasses. He is completely dependent on the prejudices and fashions of his times, since he never gets to see or hear anything else. And what a person thinks on his own without being stimulated by the thoughts and experiences of other people is, even in the best case, rather paltry and monotonous. There are only a few enlightened people with the lucid mind and style and with good taste within a century. What has been preserved of their work belongs among the most precious possessions of mankind. We owe it to a few writers of antiquity that the people of the Middle Ages could slowly extricate themselves from the superstitions and ignorance that had darkened life for more than half a millennium. Nothing is more needed to overcome the modernist's snobbishness. So, in essence, Einstein is talking about there is a lot you can learn from reading the works of past authors. If you just read your newspaper and modern uh, books, you'll be in danger of not looking to the past, which unfortunately happens a lot. We do seem to repeat the past. The old axiom, those who do not know their past are doomed to repeat it. And that's kind of what he's talking about here. you know, don't be afraid to look to the past to discover things. Because, there's more there than you might originally think. Next piece is called Ensuring the Future of Mankind. It is a message for Canadian Education Week, March the 2nd through the 8th, 1952, published in Mein Weltbild, Zurich, Europa Verlag, 1953. The discovery of nuclear chain reactions have not need not bring about the destruction of mankind any more than did the discovery of matches. We only must do everything in our power to safeguard against its abuse. In the present stage of technical development, only a supernatural organization equipped with a sufficiently strong executive power can protect us. Once we have understood that, we shall find the strength for the sacrifices necessary to ensure the um, sorry sacrifices necessary to ensure the future of mankind. Each one of us could be at fault if the goal were not reached in time. There is the danger that everyone waits idly for others to act in his stead. The progress of science in our country will be highly unappreciated by every knowledgeable person, even by the casual observer who only encounters the technical applications of science. Nevertheless, its recent achievements will not be overreacted if the fundamental problems of science are kept in mind. If we ride in a train, we seem to move with incredible speed, as long as we watch only nearby objects. But if we direct our attention to prominent features of the landscape, like high mountains, the scenery seems to change very slowly. It is just the same with the fundamental problems in science. In my opinion, it is not reasonable even to talk of our way of life or that of the Russians. In both cases, we are dealing with a collection of traditions and customs which do not form an inorganic whole. It certainly makes more sense to ask which institutions and traditions are harmful and which are useful to human beings, which make life happier or more painful. We then must endeavor to adopt whatever appears best, irrespective of whether at present we find it realized at home or somewhere else. Now, to the salaries of teachers. In a healthy society, every useful activity is compensated in a way to permit of a decent living. The exercise of any socially valuable activity gives inner satisfaction, but it cannot be considered as part of the salary. The teacher cannot use his inner satisfaction to fill the stomachs of his children. So, yeah, he's basically trying to talk about preparing the future generations. And he makes this solid with his last paragraph talking about the pay of teachers because he sees education as a way forward, which I agree with him. We need a educated populace. That's just a fact. Last piece we're going to read is called Education for Independent Thought, which is from the New York Times, October the 5th, 1952. It is not enough to teach man a specialty. Through it, he may become a kind of useful machine, but not a harmoniously developed personality. It is essential that the student acquire an understanding of and a lively feeling for values. He must require a vivid sense of the beautiful and of the morally good. Otherwise, he, with his specialized knowledge, more closely resembles a well-trained dog than a harmoniously developed person. He must learn to understand the motives of human beings, their illusions, and their sufferings in order to acquire a proper relationship to individual fellow men, and to the community. These precious things are conveyed to the younger generation through personal contact with those who teach, not, or at least not in the main, through textbooks. It is this that primarily constitutes and preserves culture. This is what I have in mind when I recommend the humanities as important, not just dry specialized knowledge in the fields of history and philosophy. Overemphasis on the competitive system and premature specialization on the ground of immediate usefulness kill the spirit on which all cultural life depends, specialized knowledge included. It is also vital to a valuable education that independent critical thinking be developed in the young human being, a development that is greatly jeopardized by overburdening him with too much and with too varied subjects. Point system. Overburdening necessarily leads to superficiality. Superficiality. Teaching should be such that what is offered is perceived as a valuable gift and not as a hard duty. So, yeah, Einstein in that particular piece is basically saying it shouldn't just be a teaching of dry information. While knowledge is hugely important, Einstein talks about the need for the humanities, literature and music, things that are more cultural and for the pleasure of experiencing. He feels it's necessary to help make a better person. But as always, educate thyself, think, read, study, learn. Someone tries to tell you something you have trouble believing, ask them to cite their sources. I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, later.